this video is going to be on a John Deere Z-Series 355e with a 48-inch deck. The customer brought it in complaining about the deck belt keeps snapping on it, coming off, snapping. It's only a year old more, so we're going to see if we can't figure out why that's happening and correct the problem. So if you're interested, please stay tuned and we'll get right into it. Thanks. And please hit that subscribe button for me. Guys, so we have a John Deere Z-Series 355e. It has the Axle 48-inch deep deck on it. Came in yesterday afternoon. Belts keep popping on it. Brand new mower, last year new. Belts started popping on it. I think they replaced the belt earlier in the season. Well, come to find out, I mean, it'll run just a little bit, but after some research with the customer, I found out that he had been buying the wrong belts. He's been trying to replace it with a 48-inch John Deere belt that goes on a riding mower, which is a whole different part number than the belt that goes on this. And I'm going to give you the part numbers here in the description in just a second. But to make a long story short, what he's been putting on here is a 1/2 inch by 141. That's what goes on the riding mower 48-inch deck. And this one calls for a 1/2 inch by 145 and 5/8 almost. So you can imagine, you can have a little slack in these because it's a fixed deck anyway, because it's got electric PTO, but not 4 inches too short, so it was just burning that belt up. So, but anyway, so we've already got the deck loosened up, taken off. It's very simple. I'll show you when I'm putting it back on how it goes back on. But on this particular deck, the reason I took it off like this is so I could show you. Most of the time we just have to loosen the pulley up here, this idler pulley. But on this one, it's got this belt guard that goes underneath here. So you actually have to take this pulley completely off to reroute the belt. So just for demonstration purposes, I went ahead and pulled the deck. You can just remove this foot guard here and crawl up under here and do it that way if you want to. But these decks are so easy to pop off, just thought I would go ahead and pop it off for you. So when the guy gets here, nobody, by the way, nobody has this belt in stock. It's like a 12-day waiting period for it. I believe it's a GX 26422, but I'm going to put the part number down here in a second. But anyway, so I did find at one of my auto parts store, Westwood, they've got a 146 1/4, 1/2 inch by 146 1/4, and that's, you know, it's less than a 1/2 inch different. And like I said, on this John Deere, it's a fixed deck because it's got the electric PTO, so it's tensioned all the time. And I believe that belt's going to work because he's kind of in an emergency situation right now, and he just wants to go with it. So anyway, I'll get back with you in just a minute. So while we're waiting on that belt, a couple things, issues that I noticed. If you'll notice on this pulley right here, right in that area, right there, you see how that's dinged up a little bit? So when this thing spins, it's hitting the guard right there. You hear it every time around. Now it's not jagged on the bottom side, but what I'm going to do is try to take a little punch or something and push that back down because it's soft metal. If not, I'm just going to grind it off, make it flat so it won't rub on there. And on this belt guard, if you look right in there, you can see where that's been rubbing. It's kind of got a jagged edge on it, not too bad, but you know, I'm going to take the grinder and, well, I'm going to put a sanding disc on it and grind that down smooth before we put it back together. Because if that belt's been rubbing on there and jagged edge, you know, that could have eventually worn the belt and made it pop. Don't know because I can't see the old belt that came off of it. But we know that it shouldn't be jagged, it needs to be smooth, so we're just going to smooth that out before we put it all back together. So, da-di-da-di-da, waiting on the belt, waiting. Alright guys, so I just took took this belt guard and put it in my vise, and see, now I've got it all smoothed out. All the rough edges are gone. And I just took my angle grinder here. It's got a 60 grit flap disc on it. Had to take the hand holder off, but and then just back and forth like that. And the same thing on this pulley here, angle grinder. There was your part that was lipped up, so I just grinded that off. Got under here, make sure that was smooth up under there. So no more rubbing. All right, moving on. So we're moving on to sharpening the blades. But so I cleaned this deck up, man. All this grass caught on here. I mean, he's been cutting high, thick, wet grass. That's probably what caused a little bit of belt problem as well. But look at all this grass. This is just off the deck, underneath here. Look at that. Man, I'm gonna tell him about how to wash it, clean it up, keep it maintenance. All right. So got the blades all sharpened up, back on. Got this deck cleaned up for the most part. It ended up being a bag of grass. Dirt, muck, whatever. All right, so now we're gonna flip this back over and go to putting the belt on. All right, guys, so that's how the belt routes. And when you're putting this pulley on right here, this has got a little nib or tit that sticks out that's got to go in this hole right there that keeps it locked in place. So keep that in mind when you're tightening this back up. But anyway, so it goes around this pulley, and then around this idler to the back of the mower, and then from the back of the mower you come up and goes around this idler, around this blade spindle, then back around this idler and around this blade spindle and back to where we started. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten this stuff up right here, get all this tightened. We're going to wait to put the spring on until we have it back on the deck so we can fit this around the crankshaft. But here's an overview in case you can't tell. Just imagine I'm the engine back here. So that's it, and this is for that XL 48-inch John Deere deep deck. So that's the routing on that. All right, see you in a few. We're down here at deck level, down and dirty, Mick would say. Anyway, so you just slide this deck back under here, and this hanger bar right here, it just slides into those. You can see how it slides in there, and then this arm here comes down and goes in between here, and you got a pin that puts in on this side and a cotter key on this side. Now on these it's spring loaded, so you have to get it all the way down into the low position up top, and the levers don't come down by themselves. It's spring loaded. Well, not spring loaded, but you're gonna have to pull this lever down by hand to get it there. And then what I do is, you see how high that's got to come up, right? So I just take me a block and put it under here like that, and I'll show you. So you get your block under there like that, and you slide this pin through, and you got this key. It just goes through like so. It's hard to do this with one hand. Anyway, you get the idea. That's how it's supposed to look. Same thing on the other side. So now we're going to stretch this spring and put it back. It goes around this clip here, and that should tighten everything up under here. We've got this tight. Our belt's routed. We've got it on the back side on the crankshaft around both pulleys. It's always good to check under these covers, make sure you're still on the pulleys all the way around, and then put your tension spring on. Guys, so we got her on, got the spring back on. I ran it around my yard. You see I cut all that right down and through there. got off of it, checking the belt for wear. It looks normal. The belt's not overheated anywhere. I don't see any wear marks, or unnatural wear marks anyway. The only thing that's peculiar about this deck is when you engage the PTO, the deck wants to jump up on you. Watch this. I'm gonna show you. And I don't know if it's because, like I said, that spring-loaded thing here. Maybe it should have another stopper to keep the deck from moving. But watch this. Anyway, so, you know, like if it had something to go on top, and it may have it, I'm gonna look in the manual and see. But every time you engage it, it pulls at it up like that. It'll fall back down, but geez, you think that'd be a little wear and tear that shouldn't be happening. Anyway, especially on a John Deere. These things are supposed to be quality. Come on, man. Alright. So that concludes the video on the John Deere 355Z. Changing the deck belt, finding out the problem, and fixing it. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please let me know so with a like and some comments. And please subscribe to my channel, 185 and counting. Thanks, you guys. Jungle Bob out.